at you from Prison Island. This is the Cyberspace Chronicles. I am your host, Mike.
And all the world's gems are mine.
And
All of them.
And that's Sean, apparently. All right, well, today it's been a long time since our last recording, so it's been a month since I
Yes.
played Sonic Adventure 2, but we did the Dark Story, and I'm going to be a little rusty trying to remember everything. But I got my notes in front of me, and I also have things to add about the hero story in
Yeah.
this episode.
It kind of
I have some new updated thoughts.
Okay, sure.
Some thoughts I want to I want to I want to update some of my what I said
Last time.
because I definitely I changed my mind.
Change your mind. Yeah. I feel like the dark storyline does make you change your mind a little bit.
A little bit.
I do also want to mention, I guess, I did switch over to Japanese for the dark storyline.
What'd you think?
So I have some comments as we go along to kind of talk about
All right.
the quality of the Japanese dub and also kind of the flow and some of the the famous lines, I guess, and how they sound in Japanese versus English.
Did you do any comparison? Like, did you go look up?
I understand it well enough that I can. I mean, the subtitles are just the English localization.
Yeah,
so
true.
yeah, no, it was pretty similar. So
okay. All right, so I guess we'll just dive right into it.
Yep.
So, Dark Story. It opens with Eggman.
yes.
And Eggman is attacking Prison Island, and he is looking for Professor Gerald's research, his grandfather. He knows of, again, this has been 4 weeks since I played, but it's some weapon that his grandfather was working on, and it's being held on by the government. I have to say, this is the only time in the whole series where we actually get to play as Eggman, and not in like a racing spin-off,
right? Like an actual
game
mainline game,
like an actual mainline game. So that's like really cool.
And I do remember, just as a kid playing that and just being so confused. I was like, wait, why? Number one, why am I playing as Eggman? And number two, why does the story start with him?
Well, I remember we mentioned it last
now we
time
know,
how he was one of the original.
He is the main character of the dark side storyline, by far.
It really is a lot. Mostly his story. I feel like
Definitely.
even more so than Shadow's.
Yeah, Shadow is barely in it. Realistically,
no. He doesn't. He only has 4 levels to
right.
play. But anyway, so we go into Iron Gate, and that's the first level. What did you think of Iron Gate?
So I wrote down, it's fun, it's fast, you can get a lot of lives. I think it was a good, like we were kind of talking about how in a lot of ways the dark side is like the act 2 of a lot of the hero levels.
So, it's pretty much a lot of the dark story levels are just basically like act 2 of the hero story's act 1. So I mean, I feel like the dark story kind of it kind of struggles with the if its own identity compared to the hero levels,
which is weird because story-wise it's like completely opposite,
right?
Because the hero story, you're like, I don't know what's going on, what is this story about? And then the dark side, you're like, oh, okay, but then the levels are kind of flip-flopped.
All the story revelations are in the dark story. I think that I might like Iron Gate more than Tales' Prison Lane. I just think there was more comboing.
Yes,
and
a lot more to do, and
kind of less slowdown. Although there are parts where you have to ride an elevator. But when you come back and you have the booster, you can just kind of jump off those areas and just kind of float down.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I didn't really. But there are the parts where you have to shoot down the doors, which I kind of think
they're fine.
It's whatever.
This level's fast enough
it's just a kind of a whatever level.
It's I think it's a good introduction. If you're playing it right off the hero storyline, you have the skill where you're starting to get a lot of those combos. You're finding item boxes all over, and you're starting to get. I wrote down that I got a lot of lives in this level just right at the beginning, and I was like, oh. That's a cool way to start it. Where you have all your skill from the first half of the game, and you're like, now let me kind of see the fruit, the payoff of that.
Right. So we get to the end of that level. I don't think I have any much more to add
Nah,
to it.
that's fine.
It's whatever. So then we get to the end of that level, and then we get to the part where he releases Shadow.
Shadow.
Shadow weirdly is like a comes out like a genie. And
I
he's like,
wrote
I
the
will
exact
grant
same
you
thing.
one wish.
That's, I love that. I also wrote
Thank
that.
you for freeing me. I will grant you one wish.
Yep. Shadow is a genie, confirmed.
Uh, it's yeah again, and then you play as Shadow. It's cool. It's cool playing as the dark characters. Because you rarely get to even today you rarely get to play as characters like Shadow and Rouge.
No, almost never.
And especially Eggman.
Yeah,
So
Eggman never.
it's just really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Shadow comes out from the Arabian Nights world. I have in my notes.
Nice.
Offers him a wish. It's weird. The first time we got to play as Shadow ever was that boss fight.
Oh, that's right.
And again, like the Sonic boss fight with the Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whatever.
It's the exact same boss fight.
It's the same
too.
boss fight. Maybe it's a tad bit harder.
There's in the last phase, he doesn't go down to the ground. You have to I think I'm thinking of the right one. You have to like jump up and like get him, right?
I
might be.
think so.
I think so.
See that's how I've always fought those bosses.
Right.
I always try to hit them before they land.
I might be getting confused with Rouge fighting somebody later on. But
yeah, there's Rouge has the one where that's like just stays
where
in
she
the
has to
air.
go up on the
Right.
the gate, the fencing.
So and then you beat that fight, and then they decide to meet up later.
Right.
We cut to Rouge. We get the same cutscene with her that we did with Knuckles. It's just the same cutscene.
Yep.
They shatter the emerald, and then we go right into to her level, Dry Lagoon.
Dry Lagoon.
Now, Dry Lagoon. Again, this is the Act 2 of Knuckles' Wild Canyon. I think I might like it a little bit more.
I did write down I love the music in this level.
It's good music.
So that's like
the
Rouge music is good.
The Rouge music's good, just like the Knuckles music. It's
right.
got its own flavor. I just kind of like how I like the aesthetic of this level, and I liked how you use the turtle. You like there was like a little bit of a story where you have to like rescue the turtle, and then the turtle takes you to the other room.
Yeah, I got really confused the first time around. I was like, wait, where are the emeralds? And I was like, oh, I gotta go ride the turtle. Yeah. So I like that kind of as a thing. I guess it reminded me of Mario 64 a little bit.
I guess it's a little more visually interesting than Knuckles' brown generic canyon.
See, I saw of it more as like a lagoon aesthetic, like a dry lagoon. Like sort of a deserty lagoon.
Like in the name, yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna call this segment "Down Bad for Rouge." Okay. So since we talked about in past episodes, we talked about her overt sexual nature 3 times now.
Yes,
it's a running theme with us. They really animate her anatomy in this game.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Yes,
it's just very horny.
Emphasis on big.
Yeah. Very distracting, very horny.
Yeah, I guess I will say now also like and I think it's the same in English. Her Japanese, the way they kind of directed her, it's so like femme fatale, sultry, flirty. Like it's they're really leaning into it,
right?
And it's definitely exactly the same in English. So they knew what they were doing with this character.
Yeah, I mean this is the heyday of that when they were trying to entice us with the bat bod.
Yep. Then we get Vanilla a couple years later.
I know.
It's all uphill from there.
I think I'm gonna say this: Eggman's voice actor. Again, you're coming at it from the Japanese point of view, but his English voice, Dean Bristow, I think he might have the best performance in the game.
He's really good.
I mean, I think a lot of his line delivery is very well acted.
Yes.
It sounds like he somewhat understood the context of all the scenes. I know, like again, like a lot of these guys did not know what the context of the scenes were, but it kind of sounded like he at least was able to figure it out in his head.
Yeah, and I guess even if he is the driving force of the story, so I guess it's easier when you're the main. Eggman is the main character of this story. Everything happens because of him.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? So maybe it's easier when you're like, okay, like my character's doing this, my character's doing this, my character's doing this, whereas the heroes are all reacting.
Right.
They don't like necessarily do anything. I will say the Japanese voice for Eggman is kind of a letdown.
Really?
So the way that Japanese voices work is realistically they sort of have these, I guess you could call them tropes. They have it like archetypes. And they say, okay, this is what this kind of character sounds like. This is what that kind of character sounds like. And the actors will basically just do that.
Yeah.
The Eggman archetype is just they have a like an old man kind of voice.
Okay.
And that's all he sounds like. He sounds like I'm like an older, guy. They use sort of like antiquated phrases that don't really like people don't really use anymore.
Interesting.
And it has a very specific sound to it.
So they play up his age in the Japanese version.
Yeah, I guess that's the way you could think about it.
So,
yeah.
I always pictured him being like middle-aged Eggman.
Right. Yeah, so this is like a little bit older. This is more like how like a 50-year-old character would talk.
Right.
So it was interesting, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's not the way I would have imagined it.
Okay.
So that was kind of interesting.
That is fascinating, actually. I didn't think that like they would emphasize how much older he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it makes sense because the whole cast is teenagers, so they
that's
kind of
true.
want to. He is the old man of the
Of the
group.
story, yeah, for sure.
All right. So we get to his third level, Sand Ocean. Remember when I texted you and I said I think I found my least favorite level?
Oh, was this one?
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
But I want to amend my thoughts on that. So the first time I played this level, I hated it.
Okay.
Because you don't have the booster yet. So you're doing
true.
a lot of standing around and waiting for these platforms to move.
Yep.
And it is really slow and really obnoxious. Maybe this is because I was trying to go for the A rank the first time I played, which might have been my mistake because I got very frustrated. It's just again, it was so slow the first time. I just found it very boring. I thought Tails' pyramid level was way better.
I mean, I do think that level's better, but I thought this one was fine.
When I went, so I A ranked the whole game,
right?
Because it's been a long time since we recorded it, so I had a lot of time to do that. When I went back with the booster, I was a lot more forgiving with this level. I thought it's actually kind of fun with the booster because you can skip segments.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's fun. I do like when there's like speedrun routes available in these Sonic levels. But that first time, man, was rough. Don't go back. Don't A rank this level until you get the booster. Don't go back until you have the power.
I feel like that should have been obvious.
I know I'm the exception here. Most people won't A rank. If you're going to A rank the game, you're not going to do it until after you beat the game.
Yeah.
That's the vast majority of people.
For sure.
But I was insane, and it affected my my judgment of the level the first time I went through it. I even put my notes and update. I returned to Sand Ocean to do other missions with the booster. It's a changed experience I wrote down. I said it's a lot more engaging. You can leap distances and fly over platforms, and you can rack up bigger combos, which is great.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of the fun of these shooting stages is the comboing.
I agree, yeah.
And when there's a lot of opportunity for comboing, that's when I think they shine.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I had a complicated relationship with that
That's
level.
interesting.
I still don't think it ranks highly for me when it comes to the shooting levels. We're going to get into that at the end of this conversation, but it's whatever. It was okay. I forgive it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
That was fine. It was fun. I generally like the early shooting levels. They never overstay their welcome. They're fun. They're quick. You get a lot of combos.
Right.
It's like you have fun. Then when you get, I think I wrote for Lost Colonies Eggman, right?
Lost Colony.
Yeah, I was like, I hate this game. I hate this level.
Oh, you hate it?
I hate it. We'll get to there when we get there.
We'll get to there because we got a level to talk about still.
Yep.
But we watched the news broadcast where Shadow stole the Chaos Emerald from the bank.
Yep.
You actually get to see that scene in Sonic X, I think.
Okay, cool.
With him actually going into the bank and stealing the Chaos Emerald.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of hilarious. Like, imagine like you turn on the news and you hear about like Sonic the Hedgehog committing crimes.
I would have been so upset. Oh, you know what? Now's the perfect time. I actually saw this meme on Twitter the other day. Apparently, hedgehogs are colorblind.
Really?
So
Is that
Amy,
why they? Is that why they
yes.
all call them chaos? Oh,
So it's
that's for
actually
Amy.
it's canonical to the Sonic universe that it's totally logical that Amy would mistake Shadow for Sonic.
Do you know she does it again in Sonic 06?
Yeah, because she's
She doesn't.
colorblind. She doesn't know better.
She thinks Silver Sonic for a
Yeah,
little bit.
it makes perfect sense.
I want to get into. I want. Okay. What when we, now that we're talking about Shadow again, I skipped some notes that I want to address.
Okay.
First off, one thing I want to say about Shadow's first boss fight. I thought it was again interesting the first time we control him as a boss fight. I think it kind of establishes him kind of as a combat character a little bit.
It does.
Because like I think like with Shadow, they always try to play up the fact that he's a little more aggressive and punchy
Definitely.
than Sonic.
Yes.
I think when we play like Shadow the Hedgehog, we'll kind of talk about that a little more.
Yes.
But I think I like David Humphrey's Shadow voice. I think it's like very easy on the ears, and I like that interpretation of the character a lot.
And they definitely took that from the Japanese, where he's meant to sound sort of like they sort of have a voice for characters who are like very confident and like know they're badasses, basically.
Yeah.
So he sounds very like cool, in control, tough. He uses very like informal language, which makes him sound cool. Like he just doesn't care. He's above it all.
Right.
So they definitely took from that. And again, I mean honestly, I kind of think the English dub is better in this game.
Really?
It's less generic.
Okay.
Is really what it comes down to. But Shadow sounds really good. And you're like, oh, he's cool. Like I like this character.
You should when we play future games, you should definitely listen to the Japanese voices more, because
I think I will.
I'd be interesting to hear how they evolve, because again, we've mentioned this before about how the English voice cast has been rotated out a few times, but the Japanese voice cast
pretty much
is
stay
the
the
same.
Eggman the guy who played Eggman like just died at the end of last year, I think, right?
Yeah, I think I hope I'm not getting him mixed up with someone else, but I think that's the guy who he voices a bunch of characters in video games. He's like Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Oh, that.
I hope
wow,
I'm not getting
okay.
him. I hope I'm not getting him mixed up. Oh, then we get the flashback. So Shadow steals the Chaos Emerald. He's on the Radical Highway Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, looking bridge.
Yes.
And the police are after him. And then we get the first Maria flashback. Now, I don't know how it sounded in the Japanese version, but the voice actress for Maria in English is Mariah Angeline. And I always found her voice, especially in this scene specifically, it's there's another scene with her where she doesn't really sound like this, but she sounds very like ghostly and haunting. It's very breathy.
Breathy. Yeah, so the Japanese, they have her sound like very gentle and very soft spoken and very like
she sounds very gentle, but like also it just sounds surreal.
I wonder if they were trying to go. They were going for trying to make it sound more like.
I think so, because it's Shadows. It's what he's being haunted by. It's his
I like
memory.
that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if they did that on purpose.
I actually think so. I mean, I hope so. It would be cool if they did. Because like again, I wrote down like the later flashback with her when they're looking down at Earth and they're talking about Earth. She sounds more normal.
More normal. Yeah, I noticed that too.
And I wonder if that's the distinct. Maybe I'm giving it more credit than it deserves, but I wonder if that's because like that's the true memory, and then the ghostly memory is kind of like what Gerald kind of wrote into his mind. But I don't know. I thought that was interesting and noteworthy. Radical Highway. So I really like this level. I do have to say one thing. It kind of plays itself.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
It's a very much a roller coaster ride.
Did you feel like in general a lot of Shadows levels do kind of feel that way?
A little bit.
They're more automated than Sonic's, I felt like.
So my comparison is I kind of feel like Radical Highway is the chemical plant zone of this game. Remember Chemical Plant Zone Sonic 2? It's it's people like that level. It's a very fun level, but also there's a lot of hold forward and run really fast.
Yeah.
I feel like that this is what this is. It's fun, but there's a lot of just holding this control stick forward and just running through set pieces.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But I still ranked it pretty
It's
highly
fun.
because
It's a fun level.
I
It's
think it's a
iconic.
great introduction to Shadow. Besides, again, we did play the boss
Yeah.
fight.
But you get to actually play as him and you feel the speed and you're like, oh, this is really cool. I guess it also makes sense. They wanted you to be like, oh, Shadow's a little bit cooler than Sonic. He's a
Yeah.
little bit faster than Sonic.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling in Radical Highway. I mean, I wrote down that, if I were Gun, I would also just start bombing every single road possible so I could catch Shadow.
I mean, Gun already kind of does that. They don't give a crap.
Yeah, whatever. Collateral damage.
Remember the big truck?
Yeah, exactly. So,
I did like the Knight's Head in Radical Highway.
Mhm.
It's always fun.
Yes.
There is a like a very slight emphasis on some alternate paths.
Yeah, there are a couple.
A couple places, so it's not completely like bereft of choice. And
Sure. But it's like, I just felt like Shadow's levels in general were a little bit faster, a little bit punchier, a little bit, like, you just kind of go through them quickly and you
Yeah.
get the feeling of, wow, Shadow's a little bit better than Sonic.
All right, so we finish up Radical Highway, and then is Egg Quarters the next level?
It is, but in between we get the meeting between Shadow and Sonic.
Sorry. Start again.
Yeah. It is, but in between we get the first meeting between Shadow and Sonic. And we were talking about that, how the voices kind of overlap each other in the hero story. So I did just want to come back and note that it's the same in the Japanese. Shadow does interrupt and talk over Sonic.
Really?
So that is something that they do. It sounds kind of weird, but I think we can chalk that up to it being an older game and not having the... This is still when voices in games was fairly new.
Right.
So I think we can chalk it up to that. It's not a dub issue. It is a writing issue for the entire game.
Okay. You think it's writing, or you just think it was like they...
producing, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. They just kind of screwed up.
Well, they wanted to have the characters interrupt each other. Yeah. So,
okay.
I don't know. It sounded weird in Japanese.
It doesn't sound natural to me.
It's the exact same. It's like, it sounds like two. It's, yeah.
Okay. All right. So Egg Quarters is the second Rouge level. This is her Death Chamber.
Yes.
This is Death Chamber Act 2.
Yes.
I blew past this level the first time I played it and A ranked it on my first try.
I also A ranked it on my second try.
Okay.
Because the game crashed on my first try.
That's right. You told me it crashed.
And I was like very confused.
You're playing on the GameCube, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it crashed on the GameCube.
Yeah, I've never had a game crash on GameCube before. That was the first time.
Interesting.
The way I did it, so here's, if anyone wants to try this out. I was going and I got caught by the robot that prowls around.
Yeah.
It was coming to get me, and the emerald meter was like blinking red super fast, and I pressed start. And I wonder if there was just too much stuff happening at once, and it was like, no, I give up. That's my theory.
I don't know. I don't have too much to say about this level because of the fact I blew through it.
Right. I did too.
I think it was kind of a little more interesting than Death Chamber just because it has that gimmick.
I agree.
Of the robot chasing you.
It felt more fun to be like, oh, I'm like, I need to get in and out fast. Whereas with Knuckles, you're like, I have all the time in the world.
That being said, I thought navigating it was a little more involved because Death Chamber at least has like the center room where you can kind of find the different. You can kind of like, it's like a little hub area where you can go down the different paths. But no, it's pretty much exactly like Death Chamber, just with a few extra additions.
It is
little changes.
Yeah, it is interesting to note that this is one level that she's not collecting Master Emerald pieces; she's collecting keys.
Well, it's the same thing as Knuckles.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
No, but it seems like Rouge has more collecting other stuff than Master Emerald pieces, which is interesting because her entire introduction is I am a gem hunter.
Right.
But she doesn't really hunt gems that much.
No. Yeah, we don't ever see. Same with Knuckles. Like they're both treasure hunters, but we don't see them collect gems that much in the.
I mean, Knuckles
series.
does more than Rouge does.
I guess so. In 2 games.
Yeah.
So then we get Lost Colony. You don't like this one.
Yes.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was fun. I thought there was a lot of places to rack up big combos. I did like how the gimmick of this kind of level is that it's dark. So as you shoot things, it lights things up.
Yeah.
So it kind of like encourages you to keep shooting. But yeah, you don't really need to like even without the lighting, it's not like a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
It's still easy to see enough.
Yeah, I just found this one slower than some
You
of the
just
ones
found it kind of
previous.
slow.
That's all.
Yeah, a little bit.
It
It's
is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just say it's just kind of like an easier version of like Eternal Engine.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is the level I changed my mind on.
Yeah, really. I do think it's interesting to note again that so we're already now the dark team is on the arc already.
Yeah.
So they get to the arc right at the beginning of the game.
They're in the one place that's uncorrupted by capitalism.
Yes.
Space.
It's just kind of cool from a storyline perspective. Like Sonic spends all this time just trying to get up there, and they just teleport up there like no big deal. They're like, yeah, we're here, whatever.
Yeah, it is funny how they just have a teleporter in the pyramid to go up there anytime they want.
How else would you do it?
How did Shadow get up? I get Chaos Control.
I guess Shadow maybe showed them where the teleporter was. He would have known where it is. Maybe they don't explain it at all.
They never
Not explained
how like what the deal is with them just going to the arc.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume that Shadow was like, oh, here's how you get up to the arc.
Going back to this game, look, I like this game, but going back to it, there's a lot of like what's the way to look at it? There's a lot of contrivances I think in the story.
There definitely are.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't think they were taking it too seriously. I think the fans take the storyline of this game more seriously than they did.
Are you telling me you don't think a story about a bunch of furry animals running around and punching each other isn't serious?
I
think we had a boss fight in here.
Yeah, and again, here's another thing. Rouge is a gun agent.
Yes.
Why is she working with Eggman to undermine Gun? Is it just to gain Eggman's trust?
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in this game she's not really a gun agent yet, but she's just a jewel thief who works for the president.
That's true. She does seem to work for.
There's
the president.
No mention that she works for Gun. It's just that she works for the president. Specifically.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I saw it was number one, she has to prove herself to Eggman. She knows Eggman's probably watching her, and also she probably doesn't care that much. Like she's like,
she comes off very self-serving in this game.
She is definitely.
I mean, she usually is, but that kind of varies between her appearances. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting how she helps Eggman blow up the moon.
Yeah, well,
Dean Bristow, he has a line read where each half of the sentence sounds like it came from a different recording and then edited together. It's very awkward.
Just like this podcast. And again,
I think exactly. Just like this podcast, it has poor audio design.
Perfect.
I don't know. I feel bad for the voice actors. I know what they went through.
Yeah, they get a lot of crap, and it's not like their fault really. They were given especially in America, even at that time, nobody cared about the voice actors in video games. There's so much worse that was out there at the time than Sonic Adventure 2.
Right, I agree on that. I also think it's very interesting that Eggman's levels are very like front loaded.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was already halfway through the dark story, and you've already done 4 out of 5.
That's true.
Levels.
That's a good point.
They were just like, we're gonna get most of this Eggman stuff done out of the way first, and then you mostly focus on Rouge and Shadow stuff later.
Yeah.
Weapons bed. So now they're okay. So they all meet up at the first. We should talk about this. They all meet up at the Ark.
Right.
And Rouge shows up, and then that's when she teams up with them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay, we can go to the prison island and get 3 Chaos Emeralds. And they're like, all right, let's let her.
Here's the operation.
Let's let her team up with her. Let's let her team up with us.
Right.
So then they head to prison island, and then she's gonna go get the emeralds. Eggman's gonna create a distraction.
Yes.
And what was
Shadow setting the bomb, right?
Shadow was setting the bomb. That's right. God,
yep.
It's been 4 weeks since we played. Weapon bed. I thought it was fun. It's weapons bed again. This is a level really emphasizing combos, especially how they just have enemies sitting there.
They're just sitting there waiting.
You have to get like a bunch of the perfects in order to A rank this one.
So I wrote here that it sucks, and I think the reason it sucks is because I was like, oh, I'll definitely get an A rank, and I got like a C rank, and I was like, oh man,
because there's so much in this stage that they want you to get the perfect combos
as
much as possible. I don't know. I liked it. I like the again. I said before I like the ones where there's a lot of comboing going on. I just kind of breezed through that one, and I breezed through the next one, which is Security Hall, which is Rouge's, where she's trying to get the Chaos Emeralds.
It's interesting you blew through this one, so I found this one the most difficult to find emeralds in,
Okay.
only because there were a couple like rooms to the side. Or there's like the one where you go up on the grappling hook and you go all the way up to like the top of the facility, and there's sort of a like a semicircular hallway that's up,
Yes.
detached from the
Yeah,
rest of the level.
I always go up there and then I drop down and like fly around.
Well, I was doing that, and then but then sometimes some of them are in the vault, and some of them. So it was like I kind of restarted this one a couple times to get to the point where I could find 3 emeralds that I knew where they were really quick.
Yeah, and if you don't hit those switches when you're up there,
Right,
and
then
then
you're done.
You could be screwed. Yeah,
Exactly. So I
don't know. I don't know. This might be her best level.
You think so?
I don't know.
I
Like,
don't feel that way.
what would you think is her best level?
I really liked Egg Quarter.
I mean, there's one more level after this, and this is
I did
that's
not
a very
like Mad Space.
It's a very controversial level.
Yeah.
I think Knuckles might have better levels.
I think Knuckles has better levels.
Knuckles has got Pumpkin Hill. I mean,
yes,
come on.
exactly.
And Meteor Herd, which I personally like.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of this level. Only, and if I knew it a little bit better, it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But I felt like this one, there were more chances of getting into a situation where I was stuck or I didn't know what to do or I was confused. And the Omo Chow didn't really help in this level.
Yeah.
He didn't really help in any of the levels, to be perfectly honest.
I just try to avoid Omo Chow, especially with the treasure hunting, because again, he takes away from your score.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think we discussed it last time. If you touch Omo Chow during the treasure hunting levels, they deduct from your score.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, no, not Omo Chow.
Yeah, the monitors. I didn't use the monitors.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I got that mixed up.
No worries.
All right, so we fight the Fly Dog, which is her
Yes.
boss, which is the one that flies around.
He's the one who flies, so you have to climb up on the fence and punch him.
It's interesting.
It's fine.
It's whatever.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
There's not much to say. The Fly Dog gets taken down by one busty Batgirl.
Yes, he does.
All right, so I thought it was interesting that Shadow thinks of Maria when Rouge is trapped.
Yes.
I mean, Rouge doesn't really talk like Maria or say anything Maria would say. I just wonder, does Shadow have like a soft spot for women in peril?
So I wrote down that Shadow maybe has PTSD from not being able to save Maria.
That's probably
so that
it.
he
That's
wanted to rescue
yeah.
Rouge because of that. He was like, well, I gotta at least save somebody if I'm able to.
Yeah, I think I also wrote down, I guess he doesn't want someone he knows to get hurt if he can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which shows he's a good guy at heart.
Yeah. TV. I also went on TV tropes for this.
Okay.
And they have it under the heartwarming Sonic Adventure 2 page that Rouge just simply reminded him of Maria. So it's just supposed to be a nice moment, I guess.
Yeah.
But I like your explanation that it's just because if he can stop someone from getting hurt,
he'd do it.
Yeah, he will do it.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Except he's trying to blow up the planet.
I mean, details.
Yeah, I just thought it does have a little bit of interesting implications. Because later in the story, Shadow thinks of Amy the same way.
Right.
So I
Well,
guess
I mean, hedgehogs are colorblind, so maybe he thinks everyone's Maria.
Yeah. Well, this is when we get that scene too, where
That's
Amy tries to glomps on him.
Yes.
I think it's also, so then Eggman blows up the moon. I think it's hilarious that apparently no one took him blowing up the moon seriously, and he was mostly ignored. He's like actually like angry about it.
Yeah, he's like, why aren't they doing anything yet? I mean, it's just the moon.
They're just in the world of Sonic. They're just like, screw it. At least, but he got a Zoom call with the president.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
That's something.
Yeah.
I also think it's hilarious how Station Square had a big ceremony to award Tails a Chaos
that's right.
Emerald.
Yeah.
Tails had to be thinking like, dude, Sonic and I could just jump into a special stage at any time, and I can just get one of these things. But also, like, thanks, I guess.
Yeah, it's a thought.
I'm gonna end up losing this later anyway.
Yeah, he knows, but.
So, based on Rouge's dialogue, no one in the government knows what Project Shadow looks like, and
Right.
it it looks like the president is paying her in jewels. So
Yes. Yeah. So she's like a mercenary, I guess.
yeah, but this I think this was this the scene? No, that's after when she holds up the newspaper.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You're not the real Project Shadow." But we'll get into that.
Yeah,
I
we'll
guess
get
when we
that
get there.
later.
So this I think this is where we get the Rouge driving level. I don't have
No,
anything.
White Jungle first, right?
Oh, we skipped White
Yeah, you
Jungle.
skipped
We
White
skipped
Jungle.
White Jungle.
You skipped White Jungle.
I like that level.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's fun.
It's the same thing as Green Forest. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's fast and it's cool.
Yeah, I actually rank Green Forest and White Jungle as two of my favorite levels. It's
I
up there
agree
for
with
me.
that for sure. They're very fun. Music's really good.
Music's great in both of them, especially White Jungle. I think White Jungle's got one of the best tracks in the game.
I should mention, of course, the jungle itself is not actually white.
No,
It's green.
it's green. It's
It's a
also
green jungle. Why did they call it White Jungle?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
It just sounded cool.
I would have called it dark.
Just...
I would have called it Dark Jungle.
Yeah.
Edgelord Jungle.
So then we get the Rouge driving level, which again,
oh wait, I wrote this down because we talked about this last time.
Yes.
The famous "I'm not the faker, you're the faker," or whatever it was.
Oh, what did they do in Japanese?
So in Japanese, it does definitely flow a little bit better. I tried to write it down as like literally, I guess, as possible. So basically, Shadow's like, "You're the fake. Actually, you're like at too low a level to even be a fake."
Really?
So you're so low quality you can't even be a knockoff product.
He's going full Vegeta. You're low grade Saiyan.
Low grade Saiyan. That's probably what they were going for. But it's like the level of quality that you like exhibit is like you're like a Temu fake. You're not even like a Taobao fake, you know.
That's hilarious, actually.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I always find it funny when they don't do it a lot, but they every once in a while they'll do it. Where like Shadow's like, "I'm a superior hedgehog," and I don't know. There's an ending in Shadow the Hedgehog where it's all about Shadow being the best hedgehog, and then I think in like Sonic Boom, he talks about how like Sonic's an embarrassment, the hedgehog kind.
He is.
So I don't know. They don't do it a lot, but I think it's funny when they emphasize like, "Oh, I'm the superior hedgehog."
Yeah, he is. He's the ultimate life form.
Yeah. Also, we didn't really talk about Taros yet.
Oh no, we didn't at all.
So, a lot of people know this, but I'll just touch on it briefly because why not?
Someone will mention in the comments that we didn't.
Shadow's development name was Taros the Hedgehog.
Yes.
And he looked more like Sonic. He looked like literally like Sonic with a scar.
Yeah, he had a scar on his eye, and he was like dark with a shadowy kind of.
I think I might have a picture ready to go.
Okay.
Let me look. Apparently I don't, so we're gonna have to Google it. Let me Google it real quick. Taros the Hedgehog. Yeah, he looked like this.
Yeah, and he had the red bandana. That's right.
Where's the actual? I think this is the actual development art. But
yep.
Yeah, he looked. He was just kind of a black Sonic with a scarred eye. Yeah, he had a scarf in some of the designs.
Yeah.
And Rouge was Nails the Bat.
Yep.
Now, I think there was I forget where I saw this. It was someone's YouTube video. Oh man, I feel bad not being able to credit them. But again, this is some like information you could find. But originally, like one of her development names might have been Shadow. So she might have been called Shadow at one point.
That's possible.
I don't know.
I remember Nails.
Well, you know, when we do the last, I'll look into that.
Yeah,
and when we do the last story, I'll clarify that.
Sure.
But yeah, so he used to be called Taros,
yes.
and I don't know. He didn't
looks
have
more similar.
I don't like the design because he looks too much like Sonic.
I agree.
He looks like a fan character.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see where he came from.
Yep.
Driving level with Rouge, whatever. It's a little bit harder.
It's great. It's wonderful. Best
level
in the game.
I don't know why you like.
I really like the driving levels.
I don't get you, man. I don't understand.
It's just fun.
They're not. Look, they're whatever. It's just that I don't know. They don't need to be there.
I just really like them.
Uh, you go okay. So then we do Rail Canyon. I
Yes.
found when I played Rail Canyon, I found it really jank.
Yes, me too.
Um, I thought the level really highlighted how unreliable the homing attack and the rail switching is
Yep.
in the game. Um,
Yep.
there's a lot of times where you try to do the rail switching and you just kind of
You just
fall
fly
off
off
the
and die.
side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a game over the first time I played it. I died like 5 times in a row. And then the second time I turned it off, I probably went to bed. I played it the next day and I just blew through it in 2 minutes.
So this level is one of the levels that's actually in Sonic Frontiers. It's one of the
Oh
cyberspace
right,
stages.
yeah,
They
that's
use the
right.
same layout, and it really shows how much better that level is when you have better
Better
control,
controls.
better polish to the
Yep.
controls. Um,
Yeah, I
it's
remember hating this as a kid too.
it's it's I don't know. I think it ranks a little lower for me with the shadow levels. I have
Yeah.
my rankings and we're gonna go through them when I'm done. But I don't know. I just found this one very very jank and frustrating sometimes to
Yeah.
play. It's not horrible,
Mhm.
but it's not great.
I do, I guess this just jumped into my head. I do kind of think we were talking about how Eggman is very front loaded.
Yeah,
It's because he's originally the game was planned to have the 3 characters,
yeah,
and you can definitely tell that because Eggman's doing all this stuff.
yeah.
I do feel like at the second half of the Dark Story, they don't actually have anything to do because it's Sonic doing everything
It's a lot of them
at that point.
reacting to what the heroes are doing.
Exactly.
Like, oh, they're doing this. We gotta go
We
chase
got to go
after them.
chase them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do think that also hurts the second half of the
I
game, the dark path.
I think Prison Island's their big centerpiece because
I
that's when they
agree.
actually do stuff.
They do
They're
a
like,
lot of stuff.
we're gonna go here and we're gonna cause a commotion. We're gonna steal emeralds.
And that's
we're gonna
it.
plant a bomb. But then after that, it's like, oh man, we gotta stop Sonic. Like it's a lot of that after that.
Definitely.
In fact, it's really that till the end of the story.
So I'm kind of imagining, I guess the original plan for this was you play as Eggman in like the first half of the game,
Yeah.
like only Eggman. And then as you get into the second part of the story, you'd start playing as like Sonic and Knuckles maybe. I wonder if that was the original plan, which would have been really cool. We can talk about that more when we do the
It would have been
final
interesting to see the original plan for this
the original
game.
plan,
Yeah, what
yeah.
they were gonna
And I'm
do.
sure that doesn't exist anymore, but it seems to me like they've just lost what they should do with Rouge and Shadow after that Prison Island
Right.
segment. I think you're right.
I wrote down if the Ark Central Control has the data of Shadow and the Biolizard, then Eggman must know about it too. About the Biolizard, I guess.
If he
I wonder
bothered to check.
I'm trying to remember what I was thinking at that time. What cutscene I was writing that down.
Oh, when Rouge figures out that he's not the ultimate life form, probably.
I
Because
guess
she's accessing the central terminal.
Yes. That's how she finds out.
Right.
Um, I also wrote down how does Rouge know the last pieces of the Master Emerald are on the Ark? She would have had to know that the shards spilled from the shuttle.
Mm.
She's just like, okay, I'm gonna go find more emerald pieces.
She has a gem detector in her brain. Like it's just her brain. She's just immediately
just
like, oh, there's some
that-
gems here. She just
senses them here.
knows. She just knows. They all belong to her.
Yeah.
Oh, she air tagged them all.
All right, so now we're in the end stretch, and we got to talk about Mad Space.
So my notes for this were, I hate this level.
So I didn't know what to rank this level for because at first I was like, this is interesting because it's so different.
It's very different
from everything else in the game. It is literally Mario Galaxy before Mario Galaxy, but way more jank.
Yes.
Way more jank.
The amount of times that I thought I was like escaping the gravity of one planet to go to another and fell to my doom.
Also, the gravity works like differently
It's
on
so bad.
some of the planetoids.
The worst one is the asteroid planet where you get the upgrade from, and halfway down you're running down, and halfway the gravity changes. So you, instead of holding down to go down, you have to hold up to go down, and it's so annoying and it's so confusing.
The one planet where when you cross its equator,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The controls
it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, Meteor Herd is the superior version of this.
I can agree with that.
But I don't know. I found it interesting. I don't rank it highly.
No,
but I don't know. when I bring my tier list up, we'll talk about
All
it.
right.
I feel so conflicted about this one. It was a pain when I was going back and doing the other missions.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, I don't want to explore all these little planetoids again.
Yeah.
And it's so it's so big that it's
Yeah.
very difficult to find
Yes.
the emeralds
Yes.
to begin with. So then checking those all those little asteroids is just very tedious.
Yeah, the part I've really hated was there are a bunch of the little ones at the bottom of the level.
Yeah.
Beyond like kind of the safety zone,
floating platforms.
the little floating platforms.
Yeah, they're annoying.
And you always have to go to one of those, and it's just I don't know. If they had cut this level, the size of the level in half, I might have felt differently about it.
Or if they made the navigating the asteroids a little less jank.
Yes.
And not as annoying.
Yeah.
We're gonna be saying jank a lot.
Yeah. We're at this point of the game. Yep.
We get to the Knuckles and Rouge fight again. It's the same fight, but I just thought it was funny how naked Knuckles looks when he doesn't have his accessories on.
Yeah.
After you just played the hero story.
Yep.
Moving on. We get to Eggman. I think it's nice how Eggman immediately knew it was a fake emerald. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It shows you how competent he is.
Well, he tricks Tails into it.
Yeah.
Which is like
but
perfect.
When you get that cutscene with him and Shadow, he was like, oh, like immediately he catches on.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not like he has to figure it out. Like he just immediately knows.
He's like,
it just shows how smart
that's
he
what
is.
happened. Yeah.
And I like that. The only problem is he gave Rouge the password to the computer, which kind of undercuts that a little bit.
You know,
it's whatever.
He was distracted. There were two objects in front of his face that kind of distracted him.
Two very bouncing objects.
Yes.
I also thought it was interesting how Eggman entrusts Shadow with like everything in case something happened to him.
Right.
He's just like, you carry out my will if anything happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I guess he really likes Shadow in this game. Maybe he kind of had like a little bit of a kinship with him because he was created by his grandfather.
Right. They're family in a way if you think about it.
A little bit, yeah. So I just thought that was kind of cool.
I feel like they never touch on that again, but
no. Well, I mean, after this, they're kind of enemies.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can. I guess this is a good place to say. Like, I think we can agree. This is probably one of the games where Eggman is written the best, right?
Oh,
like,
100%.
One of the best characters in the entire game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. This is some peak Eggman characterization, at least in the games. It's cool how he's like, this is the final battle. Like I could die.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna end this right now.
I'm
with
doing
Sonic,
it. Yeah.
You know? Obviously, we see how that plays out later.
Well,
but he does get very close to.
He gets really close to killing Sonic. Yeah.
All right, Cosmic Wall. What did you think about this one?
I like this one a lot.
I think this is the best shooting level.
Yeah, me too.
Flat out. I think this is the greatest.
It's really
level.
good.
It's really like again. Talking about levels where there's a lot of comboing going on. This has a ton of it. The movement of this is the best because of the way it works where you can ascend with the booster.
Yes.
You can skip entire sections by flying over things. It's great.
It's really fun.
I honestly love I don't know how other people feel about this. They might not like it as much. I like the roller coaster like shooting gallery segments.
Yeah, I like those too.
I think they're fun.
Yeah, you get big combos. That's like the best part.
It is. Yeah. It's like it turns into a little bit of a rail shooter. For a second.
Exactly.
Yeah. This level was great. I really enjoyed doing all the A ranks for this one too.
Mm-hmm.
I think the weakest part might be some of the vertical climbs and the shafts, but I
didn't mind those at all.
Mind them either.
They're not horrible.
The only reason I deduct points from them is because the camera gets a little awkward at some points. The fixed camera. So there's a part where you kind of get blindsided by an artificial chaos. There's artificial chaos.
Oh, I hate them.
Jerks.
They're the worst. They're the worst enemies in the game.
They really are.
I do kind of wonder because we talked about how in Heroes they stop enemy AI goes out the window after this game. I wonder if people were complaining about the artificial chaoses. And they're like, all right, we're just going to make all our enemies just fodder for Sonic to like mow through in Heroes.
Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, I did write that like you can tell Eggman was always planned for this game. This is a level where it doesn't feel like it's a B-side to Tails. it feels like this is the like main level.
Yeah, there's a couple levels that like they don't feel like copies of the
Right.
hero levels.
Yeah, this is just a really
and
good
this is
level.
one of them.
Yeah.
Um, what's another level that's like that? I kind of feel like Rail Canyon a little bit. I guess it takes
Yeah.
it takes assets from Pumpkin Hill, but
It
because
does,
that's a
yeah.
Knuckles level,
Right.
it's not. It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, unfortunately that's not a good example of like a
No.
fun level, but
No.
whatever.
So we get that again. We get that great cutscene we really like, where Eggman almost kills Sonic. It's very close.
Super cool.
The boss fight with Tails is identical to
Mhm.
Eggman's boss
Yeah,
fight.
no big
so there's
deal,
not much
whatever.
to say. You listen to our hero
Yep.
discussion to hear about that. I did like how Shadow was disappointed when he thought Sonic died. He was just
Yes.
like, man, that kind of sucks. It was interesting.
Yeah.
He was an interesting guy. And then after that, then now we get the cutscene where Shadow and Rouge confront each other.
Yeah.
And we apparently Shadow studied up on Rouge between Rail Canyon and this level, this moment.
Or he knew the whole time and just didn't care.
I think it's funny how Shadow was like, "Oh, I know who you are. You're that treasure hunter, Rouge the or the spy."
Yeah.
It's like, "You're Rouge the bat." I'm like, "No shit, Shadow."
That's her name, dude. Yeah,
she's
like,
Rouge
come
and
on.
she's a bat.
She didn't even change her name.
No, she didn't even do anything to hide.
She
her
should have
identity.
called herself Nails the entire time. Like, I'm not
Exactly.
Nails, I'm Rouge.
She's not a very good government spy if Shadow just can Google her name.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an awkward plot development.
It is. You can tell they were just hand waving a lot of stuff at a certain point.
I did like freeze frame I probably just looked it up online because it's everywhere on the internet if you just Google it. The newspaper.
Yes.
So there's some interesting facts about the biolizard.
Oh, cool.
It started out very small. It was about 8 feet, 2.7 meters. It was 350 kilograms, or around 770 pounds.
Okay.
This is interesting. I always forget this. It has an organ to chaos control. It has like an actual organ.
I didn't know that.
Can activate chaos control.
That's neat.
Its vital organs were initially vulnerable, and it has trouble walking, which I mean you can see in the boss fight.
That makes sense.
But it does have a strong neck and tail, which I mean it uses it to fight.
Right.
And it's sensitive to temperature and humidity changes, which it goes into the vacuum of space where it's very cold.
But yeah, maybe that what they meant.
Maybe it's Pete.
maybe
it's sensitive to heat.
Maybe what they meant by that was that it can't live on Earth.
Right.
And so space is the only place it could live.
I guess so.
Maybe, I don't know. We're trying to explain
again,
stuff.
Again, Sonic's a universe where you can breathe in space.
Yeah, of course.
So...
Wait, what do you mean?
Because they go out in space all the time.
Right. What's wrong with that? The air's nice up there.
It's got animal-like intellect, which I mean, I guess that makes sense because it just acts like a big lizard.
Yeah. It is interesting. Like, so Shadow's kind of like the prototype.
Yeah.
Well, they were trying to make Biohazard, but he kind of sucks. Like, he's not that good.
I wrote down he just sounds like a genetic disaster. He's just a real freak.
Yeah.
His Biohazard's just a freak.
I don't
Sonic
know.
and Shadow do a favor killing
I know.
it later.
Right? I've always hated this. Like, I've always hated the Biolizard. I think he sucks. Like, I just don't.
Do you think we're gonna get it in movie 3?
I really hope not. I've told you before what I really want.
So apparently we're going to hear Live and Learn in the movie.
I know. Yeah, I saw that. I'm excited.
We'll
save that for last story, I feel like.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more.
But I hate the true ultimate life form is Shadow in my heart.
I wrote down the Project Shadow report is the 23rd report, and it is super confidential. Super spelled SUPPER.
Nice.
Nice typo, Arc Scientist. You guys are real intelligent. Final chase.
Yeah. I actually didn't even write anything down for this one.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's whatever. It's not his worst level. It's not his best level.
No, I like it more than what's it called? The Sonic one.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Final Rush is one of my favorite levels in the game.
The reason I like this one more is it doesn't have the gravity puzzles. I like running on the cylinders,
It does have gravity though.
but it doesn't have the gravity like at the end of the level in Final Rush.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm
I
talking about,
disagree
the
with you.
maze area.
I think Final Rush is better.
Okay.
I actually think Final Rush is one of the best levels in the game.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
I just like being out in space, maybe. That's what it is.
Mm.
I don't know. I like this one a lot. I had a lot of fun with it.
It just has less. It just has less emphasis on the grind rails, but I
Yeah.
like the alternate paths of Final Rush.
That's what I like. Okay. Okay. That makes sense to me then.
It's okay though. I don't dislike it. I found it a little more breezier to get through than Final Rush.
That's maybe what I like about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Final Rush, I was definitely like sitting there a couple times, like butthole really tight, like, oh, I'm about to die. I'm about to die. This one, I never felt that way. I was like, oh, I'm having fun in space with my friend.
All right, we're at the end of the dark story now. The
Yes.
only note I have left is I hate how Eggman says "glorious era of the Empire of Eggman" instead of "glorious era of the Eggman Empire."
I'm trying to remember. That's probably a direct, like, poor literal translation.
Yeah,
from
it
Japanese,
sounds like it.
Honestly,
It sounded so awkward.
they just have the they'll have like subjects and objects and stuff in different locations. That's probably all that was.
So we get the final boss fight with Shadow and
Yep.
Sonic. We talked about this and again.
We did.
Earlier.
It's exactly
it's
the same.
identical. This might be controversial because I've seen, especially Shadow fans, get very upset when you say this. I always, in my head, I always figured Sonic won because
Yeah.
the whole point of this fight is that Shadow's trying to stop Sonic from getting into the Eclipse Cannon and putting the fake
Yeah.
emerald in.
Exactly.
Sonic does do
He
that.
does do it.
So Shadow failed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it
Was
goes
this up for
s-
debate?
Some people are like, well, it depends on who you play as, and
Okay.
I feel like Shadow failed to stop Sonic.
I
so
feel that
it's
way, too.
Victory for Sonic.
Yeah, definitely.
Shadow
Here's my
fans.
argument against anyone who thinks this way. In the hero story, when you beat Shadow, you get the cutscene of blowing up the Eclipse Cannon.
Right.
In the Dark story, it just ends.
It ends with something going wrong on the computer,
Right.
like warning
Yeah.
bad stuff's about to happen.
And it just ends.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty clear what happened there. Whatever, I guess.
All right, so that wraps the Dark story. Now, I think
Yes.
overall thoughts on the Dark story is I kind of like the hero story a little bit more.
In terms of gameplay, we're talking, right?
Yeah. I agree that the Dark story is more interesting
Yeah.
in plot wise.
The plot is better
You get more revelations,
in the first half. In the second half, there's
Yeah.
nothing going on.
but I think the levels are stronger
I
in
agree.
the hero
I
side.
definitely agree with that.
But
for the
again, there's a
most
few
part.
standouts.
There's a few standouts.
Cosmic Wall, for example, is
Yes.
a great level.
Yeah, Radical Highway.
Radical
there's
Highway's
stuff that
good.
everybody loves. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Uh,
agree. I think the dark game, the gameplay is not there as much with the dark side.
All right. I just want to say I just want to put out some thoughts though.
All right.
I ranked all the levels in the game in the time. It actually didn't take me that long. I was surprised how easy it was for me now that I'm older.
Rub it in.
I know I'm gonna rub it in. I'm awesome at this game.
Did you guys experience many glitches with the games?
No, there aren't glitches.
I mean, I remember
not
clipping through walls and stuff. all the
not-
time,
That's
just
Sonic
failed.
Adventure, not this
not glitches. I experienced
No, two.
not glitches. I experienced a lot of jank.
Just the camera.
So
fighting the camera.
one of the things that hurt Final, what I was gonna say if I write through my tier list, one of the things that hurts Final Rush for me is the fact that there were times where you would fall down those holes and then you would go into those booster paths that would
Mhm.
lead to a grind rail, and a lot of times I would hit them and I would fly off the side and the camera wouldn't look down,
Right.
so I could see where I was landing and I would careen off the
Yeah.
side of the stage and die.
Yeah.
Which I found very frustrating.
My biggest issue with this game is always going to be fighting the camera.
The camera's terrible.
This is before you had a second joystick just to be the camera controls.
Yeah.
Which I think people really take for granted nowadays.
The camera goes back and forth between being free controlled and also being fixed. And a lot of times it'll fight you because
it fights you.
It's trying to be either fixed or it's
right. But you're in an awkward area where
Yeah.
you need to see behind you and it's
Right.
not letting you do it.
No,
And I think that's the biggest issue with this game.
So the one thing I wanted to say, Eternal Engine, Tails' level.
Yeah.
On when we did the hero discussion, I said I like this level. I think it's Tails' best level. I take that back. It's a terrible level.
Yeah.
I went back and when I did the A rank, this level's painful to
Mhm.
do like missions in. It's there's so many times where I would like slip off the geometry of the stage and just like fall into the abyss, or like there's so many awkward sections. There's so much awkward camera placement in this level. Um, so when we do our tier list, we're not going to do it this time, but when we do our tier list, I ranked Eternal Engine a lot lower than I initially thought I would put it up. I liked it the first time I played it. When I went back to it, I was like, no, this stinks.
I can't wait till the driving levels are.
I put them on the bottom.
Very high up.
I put them on the bottom. I put Sand Ocean towards the bottom.
I'm gonna fight you on the driving levels.
All right, I guess that concludes our discussion on the Dark Story. So we'll come back with I guess a pretty short last story.
Yeah, and we'll just overall ideas about the game, how we feel about it. I do want to talk about next time. This is a preview, so you can keep watching for next time. I do definitely want to talk about the kind of original plan and how successful we feel the game is with the 6 characters. Definitely.
Okay. I'll definitely. I think there's a lot to talk about the legacy of this game.
Yeah, that too.
Because people are still clamoring for Sonic Adventure 3.
Yes. We already have Sonic Adventure 3.
Kind of. Not really, though. People want a game like this.
Yeah.
Not a game that's Sonic Adventure in spirit.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would like a remake of this game.
Yeah.
Same with Adventure 1. I think Adventure 1 and 2 would be great to have remakes for it. Although, if they remade these games, how would you feel about them using the current voice cast? Because just so you know, I don't know if you've heard Ryan Drummond's Sonic voice lately.
Yeah.
He can't do the voice anymore.
Oh,
I think a lot of people would be very upset if it wasn't Ryan Drummond doing the voice if they remade it. But if you, I'll have to, I'm gonna have to maybe when we're done recording, I'll let you listen to it and then we'll talk about it next time. He can't do. He's like incapable of doing the voice anymore.
I would think they just have the modern actors, the people they have now, and just do it that way. Personally,
yeah, I think that's how I would want them to do it. But we'll see if they ever remake it. It doesn't seem like
I want to say, like, I heard there was some sort of rumor about them doing something with Adventure. So, but that might just be a port. We'll see.
I'm surprised they haven't tapped into that well yet.
I know
they've been hitting the classic Sonic nostalgia for a while.
Yep.
They must know that people really want more Sonic Adventure, and I'm surprised they haven't tapped that well yet. But I think, who knows? Maybe they'll get to it.
We'll see something maybe after this year with
maybe after this movie.
Yeah.
So
we're building up to a lot of big stuff.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll end it here, and we'll talk more about Sonic Adventure 2 next time.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. I guess we will talk to you later.
Yep. See you in the next one.
Bye.